All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your general. This is a major worldwide alert. This is a major worldwide alert. Give me a moment to share this. Please do the same. Like and share. It's absolutely imperative. Trump prepare for big one and unleashes this next. Massive economic implications, massive crypto implications, massive freedom and liberty implications here in the United States. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Christ is not only king. It was what this nation was founded on a nation of God. It is why I believe, and many of the greats, including George Washington, believe that our nation set the tone for freedom and liberty worldwide. It's why all of you tuning in America have been so blessed. These are things that all of our forefathers, even opening, once they were establishing the republic, would pray before the founding, pray before a major event, pray before battle, pray before war, pray before writing the Constitution of America. So keep that in mind, that we are as much in a spiritual battle with the spiritual realm as we are at battle between principalities, governments, a war on currency, a war on our culture, a war on morality. I also just want to say, I hope you guys had a blessed Sabbath. Yesterday was very blessed here in Maui. We've had some windy weather, but it's been a really great time. I've been reading just so many new books and getting into scripture and teaching Bible lessons to my children, and my wife teaching Bible lessons to all of us, including me, which I encourage you to do that. Even if you take about 5 or 10 minutes a day, maybe in the morning before you start work, or you pick a day to do this, but if you can do it daily, it's really gonna help you. Focus on a lesson that you and your entire family can learn from. So this is massive. I'm just sharing this across X. Again, make sure to share this across X and follow me on X. I just posted this at AMTV Media, our only official account. You know what? I'm going to share this on Facebook as well. So we get our live audience here all preparing. Oh, wow. 326,000 followers now on Facebook. That's really growing astronomically. It's crazy. The algorithms seem to be a little bit more free on Facebook. I don't know why, but my content actually reaches the actual subscribers. You'll notice on some platforms, after years of having millions of subscribers follow what we're doing here at AMTV Media, I'll post a video and they don't even release it. Isn't that crazy? So it really is up to you, and all glory to God. We just have to understand that God is in control of all of this. So we are all just his stewards, that this world is temporary. So I want you guys to have peace of mind as these birth pangs continue to erupt, as the World War III, what I believe to be World War fears sound, as the trumpet sounds, right? Donald Trump, President of the United States, as he says things like, look, the United States fully prepared for nuclear war against Russia. Look, Trump is being strong. I do not believe he is saying that to scare you. By the way, I'm just eating this beautiful guava earlier today. It's got seeds in it, just absolutely amazing, freshly picked. We're planting all kinds of trees across our property, all kinds of fruits and vegetables, and we love to cook. Remember, I was joking we could even do like a cooking channel, maybe just to lighten things up occasionally. But understand, Donald Trump is being very stern. He is using forceful language for a reason. Folks, we are at war. The world is at war. Cultural chaos. We see this with radical leftism versus the conservative right. We see it in the political atmosphere in the United States. We even see it with MAGA turning on each other. I mean, Laura Loomer attacking Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson attacking others. Tucker Carlson actually admitting what I've told you for years now, and I like Tucker. I think he's a really nice guy. He's done great work for the movement, but he's finally admitted what I already alerted you to years ago, is that he's a part of the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agencies, and Project Mockingbird is still in full effect now. In fact, he came out over the weekend admitting that, yes, his father was a high-level figure at the Central Intelligence Agency, and then he pretended that he didn't know that until after his father had passed. which again, if you're a thinking individual, you'll know that obviously Tucker Carlson fully knew 4 years, 4 decades growing up that of course his dad worked for Central Intelligence. It's not like you would just learn that. I mean, the apple don't fall far from the tree. And this is why I've been telling you, understand there's also been a segment of co-opting among alternative media. Why these people that came from the mainstream media suddenly have a giant spotlight on them as they circumvent and attempt to establish their own movements like the American Party. So it's just something to keep an eye out for, and understand that, history rhymes. It doesn't necessarily repeat, but it's not like these things have stopped, right? It's not like the lies from the mainstream media have stopped. It's not like that ever ended. It's not like the CIA stopped infiltrating Hollywood and now media that is like social media. It's not like they ever stopped those operations. So just understand that. I thought that was pretty profound, finally getting that admission, which again, I have alerted you to for a very long time. People said, oh, no, that's not true. Tucker Carlson's dad never worked for the CIA. Well, he said so himself, actually, over the weekend, finally admitting that. And you must understand, a lot of these individuals you follow, especially if they're promoted very highly in the algorithms and they come out of nowhere, more than likely CIA. That's just how it works. So let's talk about what's happening next, how Donald Trump is about to unleash this next. Again, congratulations to our members. God bless you all. I'm praying for all of you out there, all of you tuning in from around the world. We have Keith coming in. He was actually my third investor as a part of islandproject.com. Massive baller. He's on his way into town, staying at our $3+ million beachfront Kapalua condo today. So congratulations to you, sir. I just wanted to shout you out. You're a baller. You're one of my ardent supporters. You were number 3, actually, on the funding when we launched just 3 years ago. Now we're, again, as you know, we're closing the founders round, our $33.5 million seed round. This is a huge deal. We're actually over $500 million in open interest overfunded that we can't accept. So this is mind-blowing to think about, but I want you to understand this. We're going to go to some crypto news today as well. Island Project. The Island Project is about $500 million overfunded with open interest. People that want to get in but can't get in to the founders round. So as we close the founders round, it is important. Existing members, DCA. I mean, this is essentially our IPO. We're going live and operational, full-blown tokenization 1000x soon. So hit those tiers. Make sure you're at 250, 500. Our minimum's 150. If you've been waiting to get in, let my father peer review that. And of course, reach out to him at 808-442-2934. This is going to be absolutely explosive. And this is why I tell you, folks, this is a multi-billion-dollar project that trillions of dollars in real estate will be tokenized in the future. We're just at the forefront of it. All glory to God. We are his vessel. And that is absolutely amazing to be a part of. I'm just so thankful for that. And really my spirit has been largely, I think, a lot more humbled recently, just knowing that we're just vessels, right? That all of you tuning in, we're just vessels for the glory of God. Also, Shelton Brooks, you know who you are. Another baller, badass. Sent us some great photos. He's been traveling here. He's another great member, outstanding member, friends of the Pits that are also outstanding Island Project members with us. Just share with me some private photos that were just extraordinary. Beautiful family, sir. It's just such an honor to serve you. And by the way, one thing you'll notice about my members is that the men especially are in great shape. Like all of the men are just jacked because the 1000x lifestyle is so much more than just making money, just so much more than just getting rich. It really is a lifestyle development on how we choose to live our life for the glory of God, treating our bodies like temples, being the spearhead of freedom and liberty, just as America was founded, and then leading by example to others around us really translates into all things in our life. Not just crypto, not just investments, not just real estate, but the embodiment of what you represent. So I want you to also understand that the spirit of liberty is alive and well as I go through these very serious topics, that the spirit of the United States of America is truly alive. And that the sovereignty and the autonomy of these, this project of this private ecosystem, parallel economy, is what America stands for, is the tree of liberty. It is the life force. And just like America was founded under God, islandproject.com was founded under God, which is why he's pulled off the impossible and things I could never imagine. I mean, to me, it's mind-blowing. I've always believed that our project, of course, is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, but to see those numbers in concrete, for my dad to tell me, Christopher, you do realize we have over $500 million in open interest, and then it's on our way to billions. To hear my father say that is like mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing, and it's also so overwhelming to know God's limitless power. So I want you to think about that. Let's bring that into our own hearts and minds and lives today, that a lot of people think in scarcity and they don't think in God's limitless nature. They're penny pinching, for example, thinking that that's all they'll ever get. Or they fail to be charitable, maybe tithe or give to their churches or communities or to do positive things for others, even when they maybe feel that they don't have the means. But I'm here to tell you today that God is limitless. It is infinite. God always protects his people. I'm living proof of this. My members are living proof of this. And again, it's just water flowing in and out. And so once you think about your own success, you think about investing, money, your mindset in this different vantage point that God is providing. Like, look, guys, no one's taking this stuff with you, right? Okay, it's a legacy you're going to leave to your kids. But at the end of the day, we're all meeting our maker. The young missionary is going to meet the maker. The teacher is going to meet the maker. The billionaire is going to meet the maker. In that regard, we're all the same. So understand what we do and what we leave behind and our actual influence and spirit really is what you're doing, is really what is going to matter at the end of the day. Those are the real meaningful things and legacy, and that's the 1000X spirit that honestly really motivates me and has motivated me for several decades now. So Donald Trump has been absolutely stern. Click the link below, islandproject.com. Make sure you're getting in. Again, we're closing the founders round, and then it's going to be up only. It's going to be a freaking rocket ship. Absolute insanity on so many levels. See our terms and disclaimers. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just rich. I've been recommending investing, teaching about Bitcoin and crypto for now multiple generations, about 15 years. We have the largest courses in the world. My advice has paid massive dividends. It's made people a lot of money, extraordinarily wealthy. And by the way, it is Ethereum's 10-year anniversary. So that's pretty incredible to talk about. We'll talk about what I think is going on with Ethereum. Notice, markets have been consolidating. What have I been doing? Buying the fear. I mean, honestly, like when you get all this fear mongering in the media and the news, not only do you know they're lying to you, that's when you want to buy. So notice the markets have been consolidating, and now Donald Trump is positioning for what he already told you he's going to do, the golden age. He said that in his congressional speech. All these things would be done. So here's the new big shocking news that's coming. Although we are on pins and needles, although 2 nuclear-powered submarines have been sent to Russia, and although we had that event, last week, which never amounted to anything, it was just a drill being run by Trump because he's prepping America, making sure, right, that Americans are prepped. Donald Trump is about to pull off the greatest peace negotiation you have ever seen in world history. We are talking a massive Ukrainian peace deal is now imminent. A massive Russian armistice, ceasefire, peace, prosperity, absolute complete unlocking of the golden age. Even Eric Trump, his son, said, look, guys, buy the dip in Bitcoin, buy the dip in Ethereum. We're all in. The Trump family is all in. So again, don't listen to necessarily a man's words. Listen to their fruits, what they produce, and their actions. What is Trump doing? What are his sons involved in? How are they positioning for the golden age? What are they buying? Where are they putting all their chips on the table? And we know the answer to that question. So, in other economic news, things to watch out for. Of course, the dollar's been on a steady collapse much throughout this first half of the year, losing 11% of its value against other global baskets of fiat currencies. Massive loss, huge losses. If you're at a bank, you've suffered massive loss. You know, every $100,000 is now only worth about 89, maybe 88K over the last 6 months. You're just bleeding in all these banks. The banks are obviously failing. And let me give you some stats, which are really extraordinary to think about. As I was praying earlier this morning, I usually read for several hours before I open up a computer or even look at my cell phone. I'm either in the Bible or I'm reading books or I'm doing both. One thing I caught earlier this morning, once I finally started taking a look at some hints in the news, is data from Deutsche Bank shows that stablecoin transactions already hit a combined 28 trillion last year. That is more stablecoin volume and transactions than all of the transactions that occur on MasterCard and Visa combined. So I want you to understand that point. I'll repeat it. Many people say, like, no one's using blockchain. Oh no, it's all being used behind the scenes. Okay, you have to understand Ethereum is a programming language network that moved from proof of work to proof of stake. Founded by Peter Thiel, funded by Peter Thiel, funded Vitalik Buterin with a grant. In fact, there was even another company that went live and operational on Wall Street with an IPO last week, also funded by Peter Thiel. Everything this guy touches typically becomes the future of the economy, money, technology. He was Palantir stock, PayPal, founded Facebook. The first check that Mark Zuckerberg ever received was from Peter Thiel. So again, I've been telling you this stuff, educating you for years, but let this sink in. $28 trillion transacted last year alone, okay? That's more than all the transactions that MasterCard and Visa transact combined. That is absolutely nuts to think about. And as we see Ethereum develop and Bitcoin as the new gold standard, let me refresh this page. It's important to understand how these technologies will affect all of your lives moving forward. So for example, I'm reading a direct quote from CNBC. Wire transfers are all moving on chain. So ACH is moving to the blockchain. Cross-border remittance payments are moving to like XRP, a blockchain, right? All assets like stocks and real estate are being now tokenized, all of them. Trillions of dollars of real estate to be tokenized. Think about, we're the first in the world to fractionalize no bank debt assets of these extraordinary properties, beach and oceanfront homes that our members can also enjoy. This is a multi-trillion-dollar market we're at the forefront of. So I continue. This is CNBC.com. Assets like stocks and real estate will all be tokenized. Coinbase announced before end of week, and they also had their earnings report, which was a little disappointing. But again, there's going to be some short-term fluctuations on the way up only. But they also announced that they're launching predictive markets with Coinbase and also a tokenized stock platform. Very few of you probably know that Ethereum has two layers. You have the main layer, the Ethereum network, really, which isn't really that fast, but that's like basically the backbone of the entire system. Then there's layer twos, like Arbitrum, Optimism, which I believe, if I remember correctly, is what the base network is actually built upon. And that allows things like faster transactions, more costless transactions, immediacy of transactions that the layer one component can't do, and then is then later printed onto the layer one network, which is the Ethereum mainnet. Things like Vitalik Buterin, goes over like roll-ups and things like that as they're developing this network. And what I found really interesting is Vitalik was saying earlier today, as he was being interviewed, that Ethereum is kind of one of those things where Americans don't even know they're using it, but then as the future progresses, it just becomes everything. Kind of like the internet. Many people didn't think the internet could make any money. Many people thought the internet was like a trend or something. Same thing with reality television. People thought, reality television won't last that long. Now it's everything. Now social media and reality TV stars are the media, right? That's why Tucker Carlson had to remove himself from the mainstream media to plant himself into the alternative media. Like I opened up with this story, his father having worked for the CIA and Project Mockingbird all those years, hint, hint, the apple don't fall far from the tree. Again, no one in my family's ever worked for the CIA or, any of these agencies. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that we're not intelligence. There's a big difference. Once CIA, always CIA. So just understand that. Don Bongino and all these people, they appeared like they came out of nowhere. No, they've always been So they're good people, but we just have to understand where they come from. They're actually not the real deal. They are the mainstream media, and I like all these people. So again, this isn't me, criticizing. It's just explaining the truth of the matter. I mean, this is why what we've done here on this platform is so extraordinary, not only providing real world, real life solutions to our $33.5 million founders round, but the fact that we're actually real, that we are the alternative media, registered trademark, alternative media television, registered that about 2008, 2009, 2010-ish. The fact that we are truly organic, the fact that we are truly by and for the people, that we don't come from the mainstream media, that we don't come from the state, right, is impressive, honestly. It's actually 1 in a million, 1 in a gazillion, and that could have only ever been accomplished through God himself. So all real estate, all stocks being now tokenized, and eventually businesses will run their entire contracts, money, wires, products, terms and conditions automatically on a single shared infrastructure, which will include, not just gold standard protocols like Bitcoin, which have massive scarcity, portability, and they're not making any more of it. And then platforms you can build upon like software dApps and DEXs and all that kind of stuff as you move down the line from Ethereum to global transfers like XRP and others, and you move down the capital structure. And again, one area, I'll just give this for free, you might want to look at is the secondary layers of Ethereum. Because not only is Ethereum going to skyrocket above 10,000, which that's just an easy play. I mean, think about how much Ethereum is going to be worth a few years from now. But the secondary layers that win, like Arbitrum, Optimism, and maybe some others that aren't even there yet, those will have a lot of alpha gains as well. So just I'm giving you some, free alpha, some, free areas to maybe look at today. So Trump, fierce as a leader. And he's telling you the truth. The United States of America is fully prepared if nuclear war, if it comes to that. I mean, look, do you think Iran likes the United States? Of course not. Do you think Iran likes Israel? Of course not. Do you think Russia would not love to see, destruction in these parts of the world? And I'm not saying all Russians or all people want that, but I'm just saying that, you're at war. So understand, China's posturing for an attack on Taiwan. You are in a state of war, and you've been in a state of war for a very, very long time. This is why the reset is moving forward with such a vengeance. It's why Americans have really been caught by surprise on all this. The whole blockchain revolution, most people thought was a scam. They thought Bitcoin wouldn't last, that it would be banned, they wouldn't allow Ethereum, they didn't understand it, or it sounds so foreign, or it's just a trend, and it's just a fad, to now full-blown stablecoin legislation, Genius Act passed, it's going to be sovereign reserve, it is literally a part of the military, it's a part of global power. Countries like El Salvador are basing their entire ecosystem economies on top of it, cleaning house. And I fully expect places like El Salvador probably to rise to the next Singapore type city states. I've been to Singapore many times. It's got its pros and cons. It's a beautifully safe, amazing constructed country. It's got crazy architecture. I've been going there for years. I've been transacting in blockchain and Bitcoin and Ethereum there for a decade. So Americans have always told me, oh, no one's using this. They're using it all over Asia all the time. I have Visa, MasterCard, supposed credit cards in my wallet that transact crypto. I go to a store, I go to Nordstrom, I buy this nice shirt, this 1000X shirt, I'm spending Bitcoin. I'm spending Ethereum. I'm spending XRP. I mean, for example, I recommended Crypto.com. That was one of our first 1000X picks. And the reason why I recommended them at school over 10 years ago is I knew that they would become a multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar asset because they were the first to marry blockchain with Visa and MasterCard. Now I'm telling you that all the stablecoin transactions combined, which are creating all this liquidity in the market, exceed all Visa MasterCard transactions. So every company, Google to Microsoft to Apple computers, are all going to buy stablecoins, also buy Bitcoin as a part of their treasuries. They're all accumulating now. And here's what Donald Trump has planned if you don't already know. Here's what Donald Trump and Scott Bessent, who was strategically hired. Again, he was the right-hand man, along with Jim Rogers, who I've met with quite a bit, in helping to collapse the British sterling pound years ago. That's where Scott Bessent comes from. That's his game, collapsing worthless fiat dollars. And that is why Scott Bessent was hired by Donald Trump to collapse the U.S. fiat dollar. And then do what? Replace it with stable coins. See, the new U.S. fiat dollars are the stable coins, and the old paper currency is going extinct. So here's what Donald Trump and Scott Bessent and others and the Treasury and David Sachs, the crypto czar, is going to do. I'm going to keep it really, really simple. It's very easy to understand, but it also tells you how to position, leverage yourself, and profit for what's ahead. How big is the U.S. debt? Why don't you just leave me a comment? How big is the U.S. debt? How many trillions? Okay, do you know off the top of your head? Well, it's about 37 trillion. Now, Donald Trump and the White House are now printing another about 4 or 5 trillion. That's going to put us at 41 trillion. That's going to create hyperinflation. Housing prices keep rising. Wealth is transferred to crypto, to stable coins, to Bitcoin, to Ethereum, to all you XRP hodlers. You've seen nothing yet. Again, it's always a good idea to take some profits along the way. You've seen nothing yet. Up only. Donald Trump, Scott Bessent, who also helped collapse the British sterling pound, and Donald Trump, who really is America's CEO. I mean, that's why he was hired. He's a businessman. He's not really a political guy. He's a CEO. He's cleaning house. He's doing what needs to be done, along with David Sachs and others and the crypto czars at the White House, establishing their strategic reserve, are going to do something very, very simple. And I really want this to sink in, and I want you to understand. It's a very important point, probably the most important point of this video today, August 3rd, 2025. All glory to God, because he tells me these things. He told me years ago. Trump, Bessent, David Sachs, the White House, the Senate, and the Congress will be buying all the old, soon-to-be $41 trillion national debt and replacing it like Pac-Man with stable coins. Stable coins printed by the U.S. Treasury and government are going to buy all the old debt. So that's how they've decided. And I knew that they would do something like this 15 years ago, 20 years ago, really. I knew that they would figure out a new way to absorb the old system into a new one. And so that collapse everyone was looking for, right? Oh, we're going to go back to 1929, will never happen. All the elites are going to do, and I said this for years. This has been the number one thing I've said for years. The elites will break the system, change the rules, just like they did with the 2008-09 bailouts to themselves, and just simply transfer you into a new thing, which is what they're doing now. So there will be no consequences. There's going to be some. I'll explain those. But there's no consequences for the debt that they printed. There's just hyperinflation as a result. So, you're not going to get a 1929 or anything like that. You're not going back to that. What they're going to do is buy all the old debt with a new scheme. Do you understand? And that new scheme is stable coins, which will buy all of the debt to absorb it. Okay, you have to understand that all stable coins must be backed 1-to-1 by the debt. So the stable coins created from nothing into infinity by the state buy the old fiat created in infinity backed by nothing by the state. And they get married and have a baby. Now, the real assets you want to own aren't stable coins. No, you want to own real assets like real estate. It's why our real estate keeps skyrocketing. I just read about a lady in Baltimore who bought her property in 2008 and 09, who her property value is 5 times greater than what she paid for it in just less than like 10, 15 years. This is why our properties in Maui have already 3x'd since we bought. This is why all of our properties across Waikiki, Park City, our Park City Lodge, for those of you who have stayed there, right? Extraordinary. I paid $5.95 million of worthless cash. Okay, actually broke the comps. Got an offer a few days ago from the other agents that sold. We're not selling, by the way. They want to pay near $8 million for the same place. They sent my dad and I a text. They're like, look, guys, I got a couple here. They've got to have this place. So we know you're not selling, but if you were, we'll pay $8 million. We didn't even respond. I didn't even text back. Once you own these assets, you never sell. You hold on to them forever. Shelton Brooks, you own an asset you're holding on to, a legacy for your beautiful kids, your beautiful future grandchildren. You will be fruitful and multiply, Keith, who is arriving today in Kapalua freaking Booyah. Okay? Be fruitful and multiply, never sell. Also understand that there is various ways through blockchain components and technology to then create more value based on the core asset. This kind of gets into more technicals and things that we're doing with our blockchain, soon to be launched, as we close out the founders round. I'm also really interested to find because I always leave this stuff to God, what the exact last person will be that gets in. So right now we're at about like 400 and so many investors in the founders round. This very special IPO going a freaking 1000X that we've been working extraordinarily hard for the last 3 years. I'm interested in what the final number is going to be, right? Is it going to be like 409 Island Project members? Will it be 411? Will it be 413? So I'm actually excited to see what God comes up with because we're right there. So my dad and I are very carefully scrutinizing all final entrants, all DCAs. Again, fill your apps. If you're an existing member, you've got preference. Make sure you're crushing tiers before we close. Over $500 million in open over interest for our future launch. So I want you to understand how much ammunition is there, right there, on top of our soon-to-be equivalent, IPO, our token launch sitting there, that's just going to send us to freaking billions. Insane. Talk to my dad about that. Let my dad share all that really crazy information with you. And also book your stay and enjoy your lifestyle investment with us. And I really do think it's one of the biggest values that we provide is you can live your investment with no bank debt in the safest investment in the world in a positive ecosystem founded under God. Because look, we all know that America, although we're trying to bring her back, has also suffered a lot of cultural decay, moral decay. We see this with, again, leftist type politics in our country. We see this with, and I don't discriminate against anyone's views, but an atheistic, nothing matters, there is no moral code. If it's inconvenient timing to have a baby, just get rid of it. And all this kind of lack of moral standards. We must understand that God blesses nation states. He blesses investments founded under him that have a moral conduct and a moral code. Again, it's a test. Your life is a test. Where do you vote with your money? Where do you vote with your wallets? Even the country you decide to live in. Right? You can choose where you go. You don't have to stay in America. If you think America's best days are over, many people have already chosen to leave. Many wealthy people have already left or they've diversified the experience. Something that I do think is critical, and it's why we have soon to be our international launch, which will again be fueled by our token launch and our expansion as we grow this worldwide network, which is so insane to think about. So, bottom line is, stable coins will be buying all of the U.S. national debt to replace it. Those stable coins controlled and printed at the Treasury will then start buying all the assets like stocks, like real estate, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. Think about this. The Central Bank and Federal Reserve, because it hasn't been ended yet. I mean, I would end it if I was president, but I understand it's a complex situation Donald Trump has to deal with. But since they have the power of the printing presses with stablecoins, they're going to print infinity amounts of it and then buy what? What's most valuable? BlackRock's going to continue buying more real estate, pricing you out of housing, making sure you and your children never own anything again. Real wages will continue to collapse. AI and robots are going to replace all of your jobs. Freedom and sovereignty removed. Colleges worthless, not worth any of the amount of money typically that an average college student or parents would pay to attend a university. All of that's being transitioned. And that has been the great plan, the reset that they've always intended by design. But again, folks, we don't put our hope and trust, of course, in this world. We put our faith in God, and we put our faith in Him alone. And, this is how I like to view things too, but I like viewing you tuning in, you are vessels. We are all vessels. We're doing God's work. We're imperfect vessels. We're sinners, right? But we're allowing God to flow through us. So you have to allow God to use you as a weapon for the kingdom. Okay, this is what real kingdom wealth is about. Like when Moses brought down his staff and parted the seas, that was faith. That was God that did that. When Noah built the ark and people mocked and laughed, but he was given all the tools he needed, all the gopher wood. He had all the firepower. His family was behind him, right? He had everything that he needed from God. He was allowing God to use him, just like Abraham and his disciples were promised, even to this day and age. Look at Israel in particular, prospering. One of the smallest little places on the map, constantly at war. What is there? 8 million, I think, people in Israel still. One of the most powerful epicenters in the world. Why? Because it was God's will. We have to understand, and it is His will. We have to understand this even with political leadership you may or may not like, right? Don't get so caught up in that. Understand that what's unfolding in front of us is actually God's plan. Have faith is what I'm saying. This applies to everything in your life. Again, it's always a little bit scary, putting yourself out there, taking a risk, or vocalizing your real opinion, or going after the girl that you're madly in love with, or making an investment when there's uncertainty. But I always tell you, that's where the 1000x is. Again, by the time now there becomes more certainty around Bitcoin, as it crushes 150K very soon, as Ethereum sails above 10K, as Island Project with now $500 million of open interest, as we're closing the $33.5 million funding round, as we sail to billions of dollars, by the time it becomes obvious, it's too late. You missed the move, right? For example, Ethereum had its 10-year anniversary over the weekend here. You've had 10 years to get in. That's how long it's been. It's been a very, very long time. And if you notice, you look at the charts, it's up and down, but it's always left to right, up only. So the trend is your friend. So when we have days over the weekend, and I did buy more Bitcoin, I did buy more Trump coin, I've gone really big. There, RSR, it's massive whale there. Again, another Peter Thiel, Sam Altman investment. In my view, it's a guarantee. All of these investments, it's just up only. That doesn't mean there's not going to be some volatility along the way, but look at a chart. Pull up the Bitcoin chart, and I always like to ask this question: how does it make you feel? Looks kind of bumpy. You know what I suggest you do? Break charts down logarithmically. Make your technical analysis on that. You'll see Bitcoin's chart instead of this, which looks bumpy, Instead of that, a logarithmic chart goes like this. It's a lot smoother. Ethereum does the same. XRP does the same. Island Project, our founders round, same thing. It's just straight up the whole time. Compare this to the dollar, straight down. If you look at a chart from, 10 years ago, 20, 50 years ago, it's straight down. I think over the last 50 years, the US dollar, somewhere in this ballpark's lost 80, 90% of its value. So 50 years ago, if you had $100,000 at a bank, you've got like 10,000 left or something like that. So all your money's gone. So you have to understand, because of the advent of new technology, because of the advent of these new developments, like Ethereum's birthday, because of Bitcoin now becoming, it's more valuable than silver. A lot of you don't know that. But Bitcoin is worth more than the entire silver market combined. It's worth more than silver. So, I like gold, silver. I own gold, silver, right? Gold and silver is amazing. Bitcoin's worth more than silver. Bitcoin will be worth more than gold. Very, very soon. I always like that chart. Let me see Bitcoin market cap. Maybe I could show this to you based on stocks and other assets. There's always like a very simple chart I always like to look at every couple of years as it takes out more and more companies. It's always really cool to see how it takes out these giant companies. Let's see, where is that? Yeah, by asset classes. So yeah, Bitcoin has taken out the silver market, and it has taken out also, I can't really find there it is. Yeah, so Bitcoin has taken out Google. Bitcoin is now worth more than Google. So just think about that for anyone that ever said Bitcoin was a scam. It's worth more than Google. It's worth more than Google. It's worth more than silver, the entire silver market. Bitcoin is now worth more than all of Saudi. I always have trouble with the name Aramco, right? That's their big sovereign wealth fund. It's worth more than that. Bitcoin will soon, actually, I think Bitcoin, I'd have to compare it to Amazon. I'm pretty sure Bitcoin's worth more than Amazon. Let's take a look at that real quick. I always like to make sure I'm 100% accurate. 2.28 trillion in Bitcoin versus Amazon stock market cap. Wow, really close. Really close, but actually they're about equal. So Bitcoin is about the same market cap as Amazon. Both are 2.28 trillion. So I want you to think about one of the world's richest men, Jeff Bezos, my neighbor. And one thing I actually like about Jeff, he's not very political. It's actually kind of what I respect about him in a way, because all these other figures like Musk, they always have to get their hand in politics. I don't understand why. You know, if we're using your company's services like Amazon, I don't need to know what your politics are. Like, maybe we just want to use your company's services, right? But this is really striking to think about. Bitcoin will be taking out the entire market cap of Amazon soon. It's already done it of Google. And the only companies worth more are like NVIDIA at 4 trillion, Apple at 3 trillion, and Microsoft, after firing there's been about 80,000 tech employees fired in the last year. So they're firing a lot of white collar work, replacing everybody with AI now. So it's going to be a huge wealth crisis, huge wealth gap, total destruction of jobs. I mean, labor, manufacturing. But Microsoft also printed, it's for the first time ever, it's near 4 trillion. I think it was 4 trillion the other day, but it dipped a little. So think about that as soon as Bitcoin starts to hit about 150 to 200K, Bitcoin will have swallowed already Google stock, silver, gold. I think gold is about 8 trillion. So correct me if I'm wrong. What is the total gold market cap? This is how I actually judge the progress of crypto. It's not like the price. It's mostly like hash rate, the network, and what it's taking out. So every year or so, I'll just kind of do like a review. What is Bitcoin worth more than now? And the list always builds every year. First it was silver, then it was Google, then it'll be Amazon, right? Then it'll be Microsoft, then it'll be NVIDIA, probably in about a year, then it'll be gold. The total gold market capitalization is somewhat debatable. Do keep in mind that supply is not capped in gold. So they always make a little more each year by mining. And if what the elites tell you, I'm not saying I believe this, but if what Elon Musk and others tell you that they plan on mining asteroids with gold, that'll mean that the gold price could collapse, theoretically. Because if an asteroid, I'm not saying this, they are, but Elon Musk and others, Bezos as well, say that in the future there's going to be a race to mine gold and other precious metals on asteroids. That would mean that the gold supply could explode to levels we've never seen, creating less demand for an increased supply. So the gold price, theoretically, based on that, if it's true, I'm not saying that will happen. I mean, I like gold. Could collapse gold. So it says actually the total market capitalization let's see here, could be as high as around 20 trillion. So that's massive. So think about how far, I think the 8 trillion number I had in my mind was more like what's available to the public. That like isn't in reserves, like at, supposedly Fort Knox, so I'm sure there's nothing there, and places like that. But that should also give you some perspective, right? So if those numbers are accurate and gold truly is, let's say a, 22 trillion asset, and let's just say we're conservative and it's 20, then you can, healthily see that Bitcoin will at least 10x from its current value, putting it easily well above $1 million. You see, this is how I've come up with my numbers. I've always expected Bitcoin to trade somewhere between like $3 to $5 million per coin, but it's probably too conservative because once Bitcoin and now crypto and Ethereum, its 10-year anniversary, XRP, all these other technologies, my company takes over the entire real estate market, you're looking at 10, 20, 30, 50 X's when you compare it to other stable value market caps like gold. Let's look at the real estate total market cap. How many trillions total real estate market cap worldwide? What is that compared to gold's alleged 20 trillion? Oh yeah, I mean, this is why, guys, tokenized real estate, man, it is worth so much. This is nuts. Even higher than I think I'd last seen. I'm seeing estimates from anywhere to 400 trillion to a staggering 654 trillion. So somewhere between, let's just say safely, 500 to 600 trillion dollars internationally. So I want you to think about this Island project at the forefront, having invented it in the Guinness Book of World Records, is about to tokenize a 5 to near $700 trillion market cap. Think about that opportunity. I mean, think about, let's be conservative. Island project just takes 1% of that 700 trillion. Imagine how rich you and my extraordinary members become in just the next few years, yet alone the decade. Also keeping in mind, we have no bank debt, which means our assets are fully outright owned into perpetuity that has no leverage risk. Think about how freaking mind-blowing insane that is, and then couple that within just 3 years, not only have we finished the founders round, but already, according to my father, there's $500 million plus and a lot more in open interest ready to fund tokenized real estate investments with the Island Project. If your mind ain't freaking blown, I don't know. Mine is. Absolutely incredible. Islandproject.com, the greatest investment in the world. Up only, ladies and gentlemen. Peace deals to be declared in Ukraine. This is the golden age. Make sure you get in. 150 units minimum. Go all the way. 1,000x freaking diamond nuts with us. Hit the 1,000 unit tier. Talk to my dad at 808-442-2934. That's 808-442-2934. And get in by filling out a 2-minute app now at islandproject.com. Don't wait. It's almost closed. Get in today. And I love you all. Jesus Christ is King, and we are all vessels for the glory of God, building kingdom wealth together. Again, a shout out to Keith. You're my baller, baby. Number 3. Enjoy Kapalua, man. Have a blast. The Sheltons, you're ballers, baby. I'm so happy you had a great trip. So extraordinary. And you are the tree of liberty, built under God here at Island Project. The Digital Noah's Ark, registered trademark. Live your investment, registered trademark. Alternative Media Television, registered trademark, and our soon-to-be proprietary blockchain launch. Not to mention all of our AI components and other cool things we're doing that's going to completely transform brokerages, real estate agents. I mean, frictionless, near costless technology that, again, you can get on the right side of history or you can just be a Luddite. Right? You can complain that the technology's happening, not do anything to position, pivot, leverage, and profit to protect your families and your churches and build yourself up. You can just complain. I mean, they're going to have universal basic income and all those kinds of things and a huge wealth gap. That's a guarantee. Or you can just pivot, right? Get ahead of it, surf it 1,000x, vote with your wallets, change your life and your mindset, do it with a Christian-led team, like myself and my father and all my amazing God First, Faith First members many members from other faiths. All are welcome here, but it's a common ethos. One thing that's really important to me is there are moral, ethical codes, right? They're just things that you do that are right. For example, if we were looking for a quick hit up only, we could easily take on mountains of debt right now based on all the properties that we own. If we were looking for the easy way, right? Most people are looking for the easy way out, right? They're looking for the quick, get rich quick scheme, right? 99.9%, even if they were able to build what we've built, which they never would be able to because God blessed us for a reason. But even if they did, 99.9% of those people would be trying to make it super easy, right? They wouldn't have worked their ass off the last 3 years doing it the right way on a foundation of rock, on the cornerstone of God, founded under God biblically with no bank debt. No, they would have been taking out loans and debt. And we see people doing this all the time. They're doing it right now. A lot of people I even like, their buildings that they're trying to sell you are 90% in debt. They put sometimes nothing down. We've done the exact opposite because our business plan is a long-term business plan. And we're also old enough and smart enough and humbled enough and also know through God that, again, you always want to be prepared and you always want to have some defense, right? So you can take advantage of opportunities along the way. For example, a year from now, if Bitcoin's trading at 250K and let's say the market dumps or, real estate took a 20 to 30% hit, my dad and all of our members, we're just hanging out with a lot of capital ready to deploy. And we buy the dip, again, with no bank debt. And it just continues over time. And see, that's the foolproof way to build a business, to build yourselves. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I ran out of power there, but I'll finish with this. What I was saying is there's no easy road. If you're going to do the things the right way, the things that actually matter to get ahead in your life, you've got to take the narrow path. Islandproject.com is the narrow path. We did it the right way. We've been building it according to God's principles, and it's why it's worked. Okay, and it's why we've been put, as well as all of our amazing members, in a position of strength to really do amazing, beautiful, charitable things in the future and change a lot of people's lives. So I share that with you passionately from my heart. I love you so much. Please like and share. This was a great video, and I'm so proud of you guys. Again, shout out to Keith. Enjoy yourself. The Shelton, you know who you are. Have a wonderful day, and along with so many others of you from around the world, it truly is an honor. I'm planning a lot of international trips this year. I'm very excited about a lot of conferences as we get ready for tokenization, etc., and I'm super stoked. So I love you guys all. Up only. Jesus Christ is Lord. Have a beautiful rest of the day. And I'll be keeping you updated on the crypto news and also what's going on with world events. God bless Trump. Massive peace deals in the golden age unlocked is coming. God bless.